This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. The weekend marred by killings here in the capital, causing for a busy start to the week for criminal investigators. The homicides pushed the country's total homicide count to 60 for the first 6 months in 2022. The latest homicide occurring on Sunday afternoon, marking the third homicide of the weekend. According to Police Press Liaison Superintendent Audley Peters, a man in his mid-20s was gunned down in broad daylight on the A.F. Adley School premises after a basketball game. Superintendent Peters says the murder took place shortly before 1 p.m. when two gunmen ambushed the victim while he was leaving the school gymnasium.
Our initial investigations indicates that there was a game being played here at the school which was concluded, and the victim was leaving the campus in a vehicle and he was approached by two gunmen armed with firearms who discharged those weapons in his direction, hitting him fatally, wounding him. We are following significant leads at this time, and we can appeal to members of the public who were here and knows what happened to share that information with us so we can bring this matter to a conclusion swiftly as possible.
Now, prior to this slaying, on Saturday, police were called to the East Street area opposite Coconut Grove Avenue shortly after 1 p.m., where a male was found with multiple gunshot wounds about the body. The gunman in this incident fled the scene on foot. Hours later, criminal investigators were called to the Pinewood Gardens area shortly after 11 p.m. Police reports indicate that two men were sitting in a vehicle outside a home when two gunmen appeared from bushes and shot one of them. He died on the scene. According to the Commissioner of Police, Paul Roll, two suspects are in police custody being questioned in connection with that homicide.
I note that you may be concerned about the number of shootings that occurred over the weekend. What I want to say is that we are appealing to members of the public who know that their relatives are in possession of these firearms to do the honorable thing, to report them, because everyone shares intimate details with other people, understanding human behavior. Our officers are on the ground, on the streets. However, we can't be everywhere. But each citizen is a police officer, and we encourage you to do your part so that we can make our communities safe.
Again, police are following significant leads into the latest killings on Sunday. Superintendent Peters could not disclose if any of the three weekend shootings are related. However, he appeals to the public to come forward with any information you may have. Officer in charge of the South Central Division, Chief Superintendent of Police, Dr. Chaswell Hanna, says they are focused on the safety of residents, and the flagship operation called Just Road has been successful.
Where daily we have officers on foot and mobile patrol. We're targeting the hot spots. We're conducting stop and search of suspicious persons and vehicles. And we're also interacting with members of the community to find out what their safety concerns are. In fact, we have, through our operations, we've been taking a number of weapons off our streets and arrested a number of persons. Okay? In fact, this past week we have 2 weapons off of the streets.
Chief Superintendent Hanna is also appealing to members of the public to partner with law enforcement and is assuring citizens that police are on the streets doing their job. In news from the health front, nearly 170 COVID-19 infections were confirmed in the Bahamas over the weekend. The Ministry of Health and Wellness data for Thursday, June 9th, indicates 55 COVID cases, 68 on Friday, June 10th, and 46 on Saturday, a total of 169 cases. New Providence accounting for a bulk of those cases with a total of 153 infections, 8 of them on Grand Bahama, 5 on Bimini and Cat Key, 2 on Eleuthera, and 1 case on Crooked Island. 48 of these individuals have travel history within the last 14 days. Total confirmed cases in the country right now, 35,332. 28 people are in hospital with COVID, all of them moderately ill. Active cases are now at 904. Health officials also reporting a COVID-19 related death, a 73-year-old female from New Providence who died on May 25th. Total deaths now at 812, with 10 deaths under investigation. A total of 150 people were reported recovered from the COVID-19 virus over the weekend. In other news, House of Assembly Speaker and Bamboo Town Member of Parliament Patricia DeVoe owes National Emergency Management Agency, or NEMA's director, Captain Stephen Russell, an apology. So says opposition leader Michael Pintard. During House proceedings last week and following severe weather activity in southwest New Providence, the House Speaker lambasted the NEMA director as she claims there was a lack of action by Captain Russell and his no-show in the Bamboo Town constituency to aid residents in the area that were impacted. The Speaker went as far as to say that Mr. Russell needs a desk job, a 9-to-5. Mr. Pintard says while every parliamentarian has a right to speak on behalf of their constituents, the manner in which Speaker DeVos spoke for her constituents was inappropriate.
And we all get emotional when we believe something has happened to our constituents that need to be remedied. But what we have to be careful of is that in speaking up for our constituents, we don't do so at the expense of others. And unfortunately, we thought that the manner in which NEMA, Captain Russell, was characterized was most inappropriate and unfortunate.
In fact, during the proceedings last Thursday, Mr. Pintard noted that NEMA is not a first responder agency and urged the government not to jump to conclusions.
Immediately after a catastrophe, that particular director need not be present as long as they're doing their job coordinating other agencies that are necessary to show up. And later in the afternoon, it appears that the facts confirm that that is exactly what happened. We have to be careful as parliamentarians, FNMs included, that we do not negatively characterize defenseless citizens and veteran public servants who are not in the House of Assembly and cannot defend themselves. Unless some amazing facts emerge that prove otherwise, the Speaker owes Captain Russell an apology.
In response to the Speaker last week, in a statement, NEMA officials say Captain Russell was on the ground in southwestern New Providence until 10 p.m. Meanwhile, Speaker DeVos is quoted in one of the local dailies as saying she stands by her statements and sees no need to apologize. And finally, upon his return to the country following the Summit of the Americas, where he accompanied Prime Minister Philip Davis, Fred Mitchell, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the chairman for the PLP, addressed a number of matters that transpired during the week of his absence. Mr. Mitchell took issue with individuals believed to be members of the official opposition who hacked a well-known PLP political social media site named Bahamas Press, or BP, and used it in an attempt to smear the character of Michael Barnaby, Member of Parliament for Mount Moriah and Chairman of the Bahamas Public Parks and Beaches Authority. He commends Mr. Barnaby for ignoring the attacks and staying focused. Mr. Mitchell, in his own colorful way, also commended the U.S. government for ending the requirement for COVID testing for visitors, but lamented potential spin-off effects.
At last, the U.S. government has found sense. The test they required to enter the country is dead and gone as of yesterday, 12:01 a.m. That's Sunday. It was such a nuisance, but you still have to be vaccinated in order to fly into the States. Let's hope it falls away here soon. My concern, of course, is the small testing industry that sprung up over the past 2 years in this country. Since the test is no longer required, what are all these people going to do in these places when these labs close down?
The PLP chairman also took aim at former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis regarding comments the Member of Parliament for Killarney made about the economy in the House of Assembly last week during the ongoing budget debate.
Wonders never cease. The man who was our king last year, former Prime Minister Hubert Minnis, says that things are worse today under the PLP than under his government last year. This man is blind, deaf, and dumb, and I'm only sorry that I wasn't in the House of Assembly at the time to challenge him on that blatant and utter stupidity.
Mr. Mitchell also announced that Donella Bodie, Permanent Secretary for the Foreign Service, who replaced retired PS Peter DeVoe Isaacs a few months ago, will step down today, and the new Permanent Secretary for the Foreign Service, Eugene Poitier, will begin his tenure today with lots of work ahead. And that'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. Thanks for joining us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.